He goes, cocaine? And I'm like, no, I swear to God, man, this is, I use it for my nose.
I think this is going to be episode 126. So, however many weeks that is. 52 weeks in a year.
Wow.
So, a little over 2 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
What would you say your most exotic experience has been so far? Or most
when I first
ordinary?
When I first started this, I went to China, not on a podcast trip, just on a vacation.
Yeah.
And I have these little portable mics.
Okay.
So what I would do is I'd walk down these busy streets and I'd just have these two little microphones. So I started making these field recordings so you could kind of just hear in stereo what it sounded like. So people would be whizzing by you on one side.
Yeah,
people would be selling you, Cracker
crazy.
Jacks on the other side. So that was kind of cool.
Did you have to walk around with headphones?
No, I just had the microphones. The thing is, though, I did have this little portable recorder, and you can see it looks kind of weird.
Yeah.
At one point, I got...
They think you had a detonator or something?
I got stopped in the airport.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And their TSA doesn't fuck around. Their TSA has machine guns strapped to their fucking back.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got brought to the side, and it escalated really quickly because I can't communicate with these people.
Right.
It was looking like for sure I was going to get taken in some dark back room and questioned.
For
but
sure.
Somebody knew. He mimicked the guitar sound.
Yeah.
Like he knew that it was a music thing.
Oh, okay.
And they passed me along. But
God.
I mean, it was close.
Dude, I would have been shitting myself. Your China story sort of brought back a memory of mine when Joan of Arc had asked me to fill in for a record. And actually, I asked them. It was like the end of the Cap'n Jazz reunion. And
The Lifelike record.
Yeah. That's the one. It was funny because it just, the way I joined the band was like we were on our way to, I think we were in the van on our way to a Cap'n Jazz show at the Metro, and Tim was just talking Joan of Arc stuff with Nate in the front seat. He happened to be in town, I think, and so I don't know. I remember that. I remember them having these little meetings, JOA meetings. They would call them like, we gotta talk JOA stuff. So like, we'll be downstairs at the bar or whatever. And I'm in the hotel room just watching TV or whatever. And so anyways, this was one of those moments, and I just was looking out the window and I'm thinking, man, this is gonna suck. Like after Cap'n Jazz building up all this momentum and everything with the reunion, I was very happy that we didn't go over a certain amount of shows. I didn't want to overdo it, but I also didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep this momentum and going and vibe going. And so they were talking and I'm like, so what's going on? And Tim's like, oh, nothing, just JOA stuff or whatever. I'm like, you guys want a guitar? And then Tim's like, oh, but you have that dog training thing you're doing or something, don't you? And I'm like, I'm pretty much, that's like all on my schedule. I can make my own schedule with that. And he's like, oh, I had no idea. And then we drove past a couple blocks or whatever, and there was total dead silence, and he looks in the rear view mirror and he's just like, you're in. There's like, you're in. But yeah, it was cool. Anyways, the memory that your China trip had triggered was when we were just crossing the border into Switzerland.
Touring the Lifelike record?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And our driver, he was just a sweet, sweet dude, for some reason, I don't know, he didn't seem too fond of Switzerland's border checks, like just the going into or out of Switzerland. I don't know, for some reason it can be a hassle,
Really?
And
I was there a couple years ago. They were chill.
what? Well, you know what? If you go with the flow, they are chill. But he was driving, and I don't know if he did it just out of spite or did it accidentally or what. But he had stopped like 10 yards, or not even, probably like 5 yards after the stop sign. And so they immediately...
before the check?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks so sketchy.
It was like he had passed the stop sign and then like he was going to drive right through it, and then stopped at like 5 yards after it with this big van, that's got tinted windows and,
Yeah.
And so anyways, they immediately, they were honest, like, flies on shit, and they were just, again with guns, and the whole, they had the whole fucking armor get up and everything and camouflage and whatever. And so they had us stop. And they told the driver to get out of the vehicle. And so he stepped out of the vehicle, and they were talking to him in French or German.
Yeah,
or,
it depends on what side of the country you're on. It's confusing.
Yeah. Well, I think we were coming from Germany. So, yeah, it was. They were talking in either language.
Sure.
Our driver didn't understand.
Oh,
He's
no.
from Czech Republic. So, he just didn't catch what the guy was saying. And so like, all we could see was, this soldier and our driver having this conversation, and you could tell by the mannerisms that the soldier guy was getting a little
Heated.
bit, yeah, he was getting heated and just impatient. And so basically like our driver did one of the things that you probably wouldn't want to do in a situation like that, I don't think. I mean, he lit up a cigarette, He just kind of like,
fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was how it came off, And so 2 seconds after that, they take the driver, and, he had to put his cigarette out right away. They take the driver and take him into a room that was, there was no windows or anything.
Where were you guys? In the van?
We were actually still parked or still stopped in the van. Yeah. After the stop sign, we were, he put it in park, and, and so we're just sitting there like parallel, 5 minutes go by. We don't see our driver come out. We're like, oh fuck, what the hell's going on in there? And we're also on a schedule here, so,
yeah.
So we had another hour drive, or I don't even know how far. Anyways, I think 10 minutes later after that, so now we're about 15 minutes just like all like into this, all of us scared shitless, thinking what the fuck, and the guy comes back out, and
the driver.
Yeah, no, the soldier, yeah. Soldier.
TSA. He is like a soldier.
Yeah, he really. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I could think of when I picture this. Is this
machine gun.
Yeah, fucking dude that's ready to just kill. And so, anyways, he comes out of the doorway that he brought our driver into and goes to the passenger side, and Tim was sitting there, and so he starts talking in French or German and motioning like, oh, come out of the vehicle, Oh, no. And so, so without even talking like or having a conversation like the driver did, he just escorts Tim into this room.
Why Tim?
The same room. Yeah. It was just baffling, We didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I was the very last person, because they did this with each and every one of us. Oh. It was just, we just kept like, there was me and I think Sam were probably the last two, and we were in the back seat, and we were just like watching, like, we knew like it was coming, it was going to be our turn.
So they were questioning you individually.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what
they do. Yeah.
It really appeared to be like, but except when it came to my turn, they escorted me into this room, and there was just a desk and two soldiers beside the guy
Up.
Yeah, took us in. And so next thing, like, he's like, okay, he was pointing at like my bag, and he's like, pointing to the table, and he's, motioning like, dump your shit out, and it's all over the table. And so I did, I put all my stuff on there, and then he's like, okay, now, take off your jacket. Your jacket, yeah. And so I took off my jacket or whatever. This continued, and basically they strip searched all of us. They went all the way down to our skivvies, and yeah, they made us throw them on the table
individually.
Yeah, individually.
So you all had this experience, but you didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I didn't see any of the other guys, so I didn't know where they went.
That's like Cop 101.
It was
because it gets you so freaked out. To be alone.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. They must teach them that.
Probably, and because I mean, this was high tech shit. But they stripped me, basically, checked everything, made sure I had no weapons or anything like that on me, anything illegal, and so afterwards,
did anybody have like pot on them? Or?
No, thank God. Like yeah, there was no trace of anything like that anyone had left behind. But I guess so. Once that whole fiasco was over, I got my clothes. They told me to put my clothes back on and then go out this second door that was to the left of the desk, and that led to a garage, and that's where all the other dudes were standing.
Oh, so you saw them at that point?
Yeah, they were all like standing there, and they were all like, they all just kind of like looked over, and like Tim's like, "You okay, Vic?" And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And so, they kept on saying cocaine. Cocaine.
Do you think they were really looking for anything, or were they just like, you disrespected us and we're gonna flex and embarrass you now?
I think that's what it was. It was. I mean, at the time, I didn't know what to think. I thought like they were looking for anything and everything, like they they could, get on us that would, that they could bust us for. And so they point to the van, and because the van was backed up, and they wanted us to open the back, and so naturally, like that led to like taking everything out and searching every
all your
piece
gear. So how long were you guys there,
dude? Like 2.5 hours or something. Almost. I mean, it felt like forever. It just felt like we were there for at least 2.5, 3 hours. But anyways, this was kind of funny. We opened up the back doors. All the instruments are all over the floor and everything. And then he says, he points to my suitcase, and he tells me to put it on the table. And so I opened the suitcase, and the whole time, cocaine, who's got cocaine? You in here, it's in the bass drum, cocaine, in the fucking amplifier, cocaine. And they were on a cocaine hunt, I guess. And so finally, like at that point, I had opened my fucking suitcase, and the first thing they see is my neti pot and a bag of salt that I had Ziploc bag of salt.
Yeah, like the cleansing nasal salt.
Yeah, except I didn't have it in the bag that it was bought in, or like little package. Yeah. I had literally a Glad sandwich baggie rolled up like it was
Coke.
Yeah, like it was Coke. And so, and the guy's like, cocaine, we got it, and like he goes, cocaine, and I'm like, no, I swear to God, man, this is. I use it for my nose. I couldn't think of anything else to say, and everybody started laughing because I was pointing at my nose, and I was like, I put it in my nose, like I use it for my, to clear my nasal, and they actually, like at that point, the soldiers started like kind of like laughing.
Oh God.
And they were like, all right, these guys are fucking, just some dudes. So that's when I realized they were flexing.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's a crazy story.
Yeah, it was a crazy fucking thing to experience. But yeah, that's my nightmare story of like being on tour and, you know, having to be in a different country and not know what to do.
Before we get going too much, how about you introduce yourself very quickly?
Yeah. I'm Victor Villarreal, and I play guitar and sing and write songs.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me over.
Absolutely.
I just saw, actually, kind of related, that Vice movie that's coming out. That you're and the dog. He made a cameo in the trailer.
Yeah. That's hilarious because that shot was like 2 years ago. I mean, this must have taken at least, 3 years or 2 years or 2.5 years to even finish, and like Tim, I think he had written in his little excerpt in one of the links, he had said like, this is going to be so weird, blah, blah, blah. And like it's a movie that I had lost 12 pounds since the beginning of the filming and so it was just it went into, I'm assuming it's going to go into some great detail and
you haven't seen it yet?
I have not, no.
But they came here to interview you for it and everything?
They did. They were here for almost 2 hours, 3 hours.
Awesome.
With the camera and everything. So
I'm so excited. I mean, as a fan of all of those bands, I'm so excited to see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too, actually. I'm pretty...
Cool. Are you going to do anything for it, or are you just watching it on the internet with everybody else?
I'll probably do that. Yeah.
Awesome. I think a lot of the Cap and Jazz stuff has been drilled to death.
Yes.
I'm interested... So Cap and Jazz breaks up at like 95. The first Ghost and Vodka full length, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Like what, 97, for example. Were you playing music then? Well, I'm interested in what your life was like.
Yeah. Let's see. So, blotches of time. I didn't want to stop playing music, but I did want to continue partying and just like, whatever, just collaborating with anybody. And so I was playing in a band called Flashlight. It was this band with some friends or people that I knew back from high school. And and so they were kind of like they were sort of in a different scene in high school than we were. Yeah, at the time I didn't have a place to live. And at the time I was also I was kind of staying around, just like in different people's places, like just like kind of roaming and stuff. And so I ended up in Wheeling, back in Wheeling. And my friend Brian, who was really, really, his mom actually was really, really just very generous. She took me in, and basically he was a big fan of Cap and Jazz, and so we ended up starting, he was in a band, we ended up starting to play together a little bit in his garage, and it turned out that they had already formed a band before that. Okay. And so I was just
fell into that kind
of. I fell into that, as well as kept drinking and partying.
You get so much success so young. Did you ever think, like, I'm definitely going to keep doing music forever? Or was it just, like, the opportunities came along? Like, when you're that young, were you really, like, still, like, driven to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just something that I knew I was never going to stop doing until the day I die, or until the day I die. Like, regardless of, I know people know me best for playing guitar, but I love creating things, Mm-hmm. So that's really what drives me, you know, and I love challenges challenges in general. So I would say if people are still giving a shit in 2040, then I will
keep doing it.
I will keep doing it publicly, but I will still be playing music regardless, like whether people give a shit or not.
Yeah.
For my own, it's their therapy.
Yeah.
So
that band or those bands after the Cap and Jazz time, were you playing out and making records and stuff? I've never heard of that.
We made one. We actually made one record called Poetry Class 90.
Flashlight.
Yeah, okay. Flashlight. I don't know if it was 98, Poetry Class of 98 or something.
So I actually just looked this up. The band is Flashlight, and the record is called Poetry Class 96. It is not on YouTube or anything. The only thing on the internet I could find is this one obscure blog post that reviews every song, and they give it a 9.6 out of 10. If you have this record by any chance, will you please email me at imightgotothebeach@gmail.com? That would be awesome. Okay, back to the show. Yeah, okay. I never heard
in
that.
Time, yeah.
I imagined you like having a few years where you did like a Jack Kerouac thing and like traveling across the country or something.
Well, yeah, that happened too in my life at some point, but that was later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, after those bands, you get back together with the Cap and Jazz guys to do the Owls. How did... I talked to Tim about it a little bit, but we didn't really get into it much. Do you remember how those first conversations happened?
Let's see. How did that happen? It was, we started Ghosts and Vodka first. And Ghosts and Vodka that started probably Flashlight must have split ways, in 99 or something. It was a short-lived project, but, yeah, then Ghosts and Vodka started up because Sam was he was the catalyst, of...
He wanted to start it.
Yeah, he of keeping all of us together, I think, in general.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, yeah, because, he's really, he's always just, for some reason, had that persona that like, he doesn't, you don't realize it, but like he was really, really good at like keeping the communications, just the lines open, between all of us, and not necessarily to keep us, in contact with each other, like me and Tim, or Tim and me and Mike, or anything, but like he kept in touch with all of them,
That's such a great personality trait.
It really was, man. And so it happened, Owls happened after Ghosts and Vodka.
Because you were playing with Sam.
Yeah, I was playing with Sam already, and we had so much material at that point. Like after Precious Blood was recorded, and
the first Ghosts and Vodka record.
Yeah, or that's Momentum Mori was the first actual 7-inch.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that was...
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's very... I don't know if you can still get it.
I bet it's on YouTube.
It's probably...
Everything's on YouTube.
Yeah. You
I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah. There's like 3 songs on there or something, or 4 songs or whatever, but...
That makes sense then, if you're already working with Sam and you're writing.
Yeah.
The only little bit I talked to Tim about it is he said he remembered that you had like... basically the seed of all those songs, and that you brought them to everybody, which blew my mind, because they sound so out there. I always wondered how they got written.
Yeah, they really were. They were all pieces of parts and segments of music that I had written for Ghosts and Vodka. Actually,
so you thought they could have been instrumentals even?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I will say that there were some that Sam would just, we'd be... Because me and Sam and Eric all lived together when Ghosts and Vodka formed.
Mm-hmm.
We just all like they quit Joan of Arc and moved in, and Sam, moved into Eric's place because he just wanted to be out in the burbs. I don't know, for whatever reason, and I ended up living at Eric's house. So you
have those songs.
I had the parts, and I remember vaguely Sam, at some time he would come in, he would hear me be, I'd be playing a part over and over and over, and he'd just like come in my room, whatever, and he'd be like, dude, what is that? And I just tell him it's something I'm writing, for us or whatever, and
Sure.
he'd be like, oh, we got to hang on to that, man. Like,
he didn't want to use it. Like
he was like, he sort of introduced the idea of wow, this could be something else, like in a different band, because
wow.
it was, I mean, G and V we were really not, not very cohesive. I mean, personality wise, we were, it was always, it seemed like there was a lot of stress, and a lot of people believed we couldn't do it because we were all like the black sheep of each previous band we were in.
Did you guys play out a lot and stuff?
Yeah, in Chicago we did. I know we only went on one tour, and that was 2 weeks long, and it was in Scott's station wagon, and he was just like, Scott was a nervous wreck the whole time. He was just like I remember when we got to New York City, he's like, I don't want to drive. I can't drive. And he's like, somebody else do it. And I got to sit in the back, and he was just in the back, curled up like a fetus. So,
scared you're going to get an accident?
Yeah. Just like freaked out, with his eyes closed. And but yeah, that tour was pretty funny. We had one show that we showed up to. It was at this place called Speak in Tongues, and it was, I believe, in Cleveland or something. And so we get there, and nobody was there. Like the promoter wasn't there. There wasn't even a sign that said like speak in tongues. There wasn't anything there except for some dude had showed up like an hour after we were supposed to be there for sound check, and we figured he was like the sound guy or something.
Yeah.
And he came by, and he's like, I'm like, we're like, should we just start loading in or whatever? And he's like, I don't know. I just came back to get my guitar from the other day, and so
he didn't work there at all.
No, but he had the keys to get it, to get in somehow. And
yeah,
so,
those weird little venues,
man. And no one, like the promoter, never showed up or anything. And that was like supposed to be where we were going to stay, the night, over that night. Two guys showed up, two people. One of them, it was his birthday, and
to watch the show.
Yeah, to watch the show, and nobody collected money or anything. So it wasn't, and we weren't going to charge them. We felt, but we just like two people, and so. We weren't going to play originally, actually, and then when we found out that there were two people, and we were just like, I don't know, like
so
we don't. This is weird, yeah. And then we found out it was the dude's birthday, and so we're like, all right, we'll play. Where's the nearest liquor store? And we just bought a bunch of beer and then slept in. There was a stage in there and everything.
It's a bummer because, like, a little bit after maybe 5-6 years, like post-rock, in quotations, like instrumental rock music became so trendy.
Yeah, it sure did.
You guys were like a little bit like too early for that. Mm-hmm. Those people all would have loved it so much. Yeah,
man. Like, and a lot of, it seems like even in the UK, I have a lot of contacts and people in the UK that just are
that stuff.
yeah, they love G&V for some reason, but
No, I love the first full length so much. That's rad. Super rad.
Thank you. Thank you.
But that's crazy that Sam kind of, I mean, not saved it, but he kind of like saw extra potential. Like,
he saw
this
something.
deserves a bigger audience.
Well,
something.
yeah, I think because at the time we were, me and Tim were like sort of like, I don't know, we were not on the greatest terms. I think I was, there was kind of like in Captain Jazz, there was like this divide for some reason of, I don't want to get too detailed into this, but like,
it's hard. Band politics. It's just
it really was.
It's a relationship. It's like a deep relationship with 4 or 5 different people. It's complicated and
it was
weird
complicated, and that's the best way to put it. And just so me and Tim specifically, like it seemed like there was this weirdness, every time I would see him, and
you guys were so young.
We were, yeah.
We were like 19, even at that point, still so young.
Yeah, and so, but I would see him, at Ida shows, at Lounge Acts and stuff, and these are places that like have been shut down, or that place has been gone for a long time, but there was just like I'd see him at shows, and it was always just kind of like he'd see me, I'd be in the back, and I didn't notice him until he turned around, and we'd kind of like lock eyes, and then he'd kind of turn back around or whatever, and it was just I might have misinterpreted at that time, but like it felt like we had this, to me, like we just had this passive aggressive like relationship thing going on, but
somehow you guys came to. So how did you all get reunited?
Well, that was Sam was the loving, he was he was the glue that.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
so do you remember when you guys all got together
in the same room, for the first time after
Tim had mentioned something about like a factory?
It was an oil factory. It was they did something with oil there, and we were offered the practice space, like to practice up. There was a man-made loft that with walls and everything, so it was pretty like solid and somewhat sturdy, like which was crazy because like the floor like felt like more like a wrestling ring flap, floor, so it like gave when you walked on it, but like and so I brought those songs in. We started originally practicing in Tim's mom's basement, which was weird because me and Sam had lived in the suburbs, only suburb away from where Tim's mom's house was, and that was the original place that like Captain Jazz.
Oh wow!
Started.
So it really was like a reunion.
It really felt weird to see, posters up on the wall of set lists or whatever of basement shows that Tim had put on there, and so many. I mean, there was so much nostalgic energy in that room, just because his mom never moved anything. And,
like a parent house.
Yeah,
and I guess at that point, it had already been 6 years or something.
Yes,
that's forever when you're 20.
Yes, and it's crazy because Nick, I swear to you, like I would not put it past Donna Kinsella to, if she's still living there, like to have probably left it all the way it is still today. I mean,
that's awesome.
It was really, really something.
Did the music feel good?
It felt incredible to me. Yeah, to me it felt like just like, like I had been holding my piss for, way too long, and like, I finally got the relief, and
because that's hard when you write a song on guitar. The band could make it or break it. The wrong drum groove or something. It's like
Absolutely.
You don't know, but it's like, this isn't what I thought in my head.
No.
You know, I've been there, and then it's like, this isn't right, and you don't understand why.
But the fucked up thing, we were so we were just so on
you speak the same language.
Yeah, we were on the same page with each other when we weren't talking. You know, it was like if we just like, I mean, I think this still like would have been, could be, whatever, like an amazing idea to pick a house somewhere in another country, or you know, like a Beatles thing where, you know, we just lock ourselves in this,
like the old 70s bands.
Lock ourselves in and just like, you know, all sleeping bags in the same room, you know, and just like, you know, just write, you know, until we're finished. And I mean, I think that, you know, and try to use the least amount of like vocal communication possible. I think it would work so good. It would be a really, really interesting experiment.
It's crazy how many things have to align just to get a record out.
Oh,
and, like,
shit, yeah.
Just somebody having a stupid day job has stopped. There's records that could have been amazing that just never happened because one person couldn't make it, and now we'll never have that thing. And like, just hearing this story, any number of things could have happened and that record wouldn't exist.
Absolutely.
Do you have early demos from that time?
You know what I do? I think buried somewhere in that room over there. It's like a storage. It's supposed to be my one bedroom, but
you got to find those, and I'd love to hear especially before the band, the guitar demos of outlines of those songs. I bet that's crazy.
Yeah, and it was a really, really groundbreaking time for me because I was kind of given, like when Flashlight broke up and Ghosts and Vodka began, Eric had kind of like had this like proposition for me, you know, since I was moving in or whatever, and I didn't have a band and everything, and really, really wanted to play with those guys more than anything. I remember the conversation with Eric, and he was like, "Listen, like we just broke up with, you know, with Joan of Arc. Like we're, you know, we are really, really serious about this, and we want you to be in it, but we need you to be the driver. Like we need you to be in the driver's seat, you know." And so that was a very profound, I guess, part of my career where I was looking at, now, you know, going from just playing a guitar, you know, like, or writing parts, you know, and stuff, that might or might not be used, you know, to actually writing, like full time, like writing the whole thing.
Like generally, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but if people don't know, like usually in like a band, somebody will bring a song to practice and be like, here's how it goes. And then everybody else listens and plays along and kind of arranges it and holds it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to be clear, like all, I don't know how many different times it's been twisted, or like, the truth of the matter is like the Captain Jazz songs, you know, a lot of people, you know, say that like, you know, I was the you know, that like I was the genius guitarist behind all those songs or whatever. And then, you know, then there's like some people that say, no, Mike wrote all those songs. And, you know, the truth is, man, like there was no like one person did more than anything. That's why it fucking worked so well.
Yeah.
Was because the ego was checked at the door and everybody was on the same page looking at it as, holy shit, we're making this new thing, and it's, you know, and it's like we're able to do it. We're figuring out things about ourselves with each other, you know, that are expanding our horizons, you know.
Were those songs were those open tunings?
Some of them, yeah. Well, there was one. I think there were maybe a couple.
Was the Owls record open tunings?
That was, I believe, an open tune.
Like,
yeah.
when did you get into that?
I got into that in Ghosts and Vodka. I started, you know, like, I approached, you know, after I had that conversation with Eric, I approached guitar writing from a new angle, because it was a lot more rocky, you know. It was wasn't as it was a lot more like, I want to say, like a cross between Dinosaur Jr. and Gage and you know, and you know, I don't even know, Christie Front Drive, maybe. I you know, it's hard to compare, like, really, but it really felt like it was its own thing. You know?
I think, have you heard guitar playing sound twinkly? Have you heard somebody say that before?
Like, referred to
as like that's a kind of a guitar playing, twinkly sound.
Yeah.
Like, I consider you one of the inventors of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fucked up because, yeah, that really was that really wasn't like a thing. It was just it was more of like, you know, whenever we got together. This started in Captain Jazz, actually, with me. I just felt like, you know, once we get in the same room together, like, it was almost like a ritual to, once you get the amp on and you get your guitar tuned and you're getting, once you dial in and you get something coming out, it was just like let's find the energy in the room. That's how I was like thinking, you know, let's find the energy in the room, and that's what that was like. That meant basically to me, in translation to you, play whatever the fuck is, you know, coming to your mind right now, and play it. If it's really abrasive and it's really like, you know, but it always just like, it was always a preparation, you know. It was always like this like when you cook or whatever, you know, you've got to prep everything and shit, you know. So
mise en place,
right? Yeah. So so I pretty much, like, that was my way of doing that, and so the other guys would jump in, you know, and just, it slowly, we had a very, very, very good communication of dynamic, you know, between each other with our instruments. So, like, it would just, whether it was like somebody was starting out just like noodling or whatever, or, you know, and that was another term for twinkling. I don't personally take offense to it. I don't know why anybody would, but
they're just words. It's hard to define it.
It is.
It's I really like the other bands you just mentioned. Their guitar playing, it's still like power chord based in a way, and I don't really consider yours that way. And then just the stilted rhythms and the arpeggios and hammer-ons,
right?
Like that.
A lot of those.
I can't think of any. The closest thing I can think of is like Johnny Marr when I listen to
cool,
this charming man or something.
Right.
Like, that's when I think of your playing, I relate it more to those really. It's not only the left hand, but the right hand really doing, like,
right.
That's some interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah. That, I mean,
Did you finger pick those?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Owls too. It's all fingers.
All fingers.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, that's not true. I'm sorry, I lied. There are two songs, maybe 2 or 3 songs that are finger picking.
Okay.
So it's like I'm finger picking, but I have a pick.
Okay.
You know, also. So, you know, there are different
Yeah.
inventive ways. Anything that was like something that I've never done before, I'd try it. And if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't, it didn't.
Whoa, I got on a tangent. Oh, record. Okay, so you have those songs. They're feeling really good.
Yeah.
You go record with Steve Albini. How did that? Oh, I mean, was there good momentum? There had to be good momentum. People. So I fell in love with the record probably 3 years after it came out. So I think you guys, it was done by then. So I missed what, were people really excited? It was such a weird time in music.
I don't think so. No. It was, again, like you had said about Ghosts and Vodka. It wasn't until after, and that seems to happen, like, with all the fucking bands I'm in, like Cap and Jazz, like same thing. Like we had 30 people at our shows when we would go, and play, and then we did this reunion, years. It seems like almost a decade ago or something, but
people caught up to it.
Yeah, and it was just really strange how like we just missed the time, like if maybe we had done this a little bit later or something, but who knows, man? I mean, it's like I just do it like as it comes to me, and that's what keeps it genuine.
Do you remember those recording sessions?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Did you record live?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
When you're writing that music, are you counting? Like how are you counting the parts?
I don't really have a metronome unless like Mike will sometimes request one, or I think Mike would have requested one in certain times of or changes of songs, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be in my headphones, or it could just be in his. And I feel better when I'm not playing with the metronome.
So you just like memorize the guitar like it's like a vocal part. You're not counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, or if it's in a weird time thing, you memorize the whole phrase and then play.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like that's exactly how. Well said.
Yeah. And the reception of it, I still feel like it's crazy underappreciated. I don't know how that's not.
Owls?
For me, the Owls record and The Argument, the best 2 records in the last 20 years.
Wow, thank you.
I don't know how people aren't, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they don't get, just people, I think, a lot of people, my take on it, at least my opinion, is like a lot of times people don't want to think too much, or they don't want to be challenged to, they don't want to be as challenged. They want it to sort of come to them, as opposed to like when we were growing up, it felt like Gage was like, they were like gods, to me. And Tim and Sam and Mike. I mean, we were all just in awe of the fact that these guys were playing what they were playing, but yet also putting on this intense fucking live show that was the looks on their faces were just, it looked like it was. It was really like somebody was going to have a heart attack, or just there was so much angst and energy.
Yeah, genuine
integrity.
Yeah, it's so hard. The thing is, genuine doesn't necessarily mean marketable,
right?
And it's what's frustrating for me. It's the bands that really get big or whatever, they can kind of be summed up in a sentence. Where you're they're from the whatever, they have a thing. Even Cap and Jazz, it's these guys were in high school, and that was part of the legend of it.
Right.
For a band to get really big, it seems like they need to be
summed up in a sentence.
Because a lot of people, people really want that. When you tell your friends, how do you tell them about the band? It's harder to just say they're if you can't sum them up, it's harder to like sell it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Especially if you're not like a real music geek or whatever.
Oh, totally, man. Yeah, I don't seek out new music as much as I used to, as much as I should say, but and I don't like myself for that.
Yeah.
I think that there are so many bands out there that I'm missing, that are just slipping through the cracks, and
it's almost overwhelming now.
It is overwhelming.
There's just so much.
It really is. It feels like it.
Owl stuff. What was your like early 2000s like after the Owls? Were you doing music then that I don't know about, or did you take a little time off?
Yeah, the early 2000s. That was after. That's when. Yeah, that was more of a like find myself period of time, and so I did have my guitar. I did play music. It wasn't like I ever stopped, but it was a soul searching type.
Okay.
Sabbatical I took, and that stretched for almost 7 years, I think. And
wow.
Yeah. And then
do you think ultimately that was good for you, taking that break?
Oh yes. Yeah. Tremendously. I feel I learned so much more about myself and about how to treat others, and I think I learned more about just valuable morals, that I didn't really have before then,
Yeah, I guess it was kind of a whirlwind. I mean, again, talking about just touring and doing music stuff so early.
Yeah.
I can imagine, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't know what to think of it back then. I just thought it was like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but sex, drugs, and this thing that they started calling emo, and that was more accurate. But I'll never forget when we finally heard the term emo for the first time. We were in Tim's kitchen or something, and they were reading some zine, and Tim's mom was always feeding us, just like, are you hungry? You need to eat. Your skin and bones. Well, here, I got it. She just whipped up this. She made the best peas in linguine. It was like
nice.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Clam sauce, peas, and linguine. But anyways, it was in some zine, and it was funny because I remember thinking, well, doesn't all music have emotion?
Yeah. Talk about just irrelevant marketing stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird because the people that make music, I don't really think see, at least the people that I've met, they don't really even see divisions or whatever. They just do it. It's again, a lot of the people that don't make the music that helps them kind of place it in their brain or something, because there's this weird disconnect from people that, or people's relationship with music is so different, right? Depending on I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got to go to the airport, which sucks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's the best way that people can find your music now? Right before this, I was listening to Sleep Talk.
Oh, great.
Your solo record on your Bandcamp.
Okay.
And which it is also a super fucking great record.
Wow. Thank you, man. Thanks.
Is that the best place for people to find it, on the Bandcamp? On
the Bandcamp right now, yeah, I would say it, there, or on iTunes, of course.
Do you have plans for another solo record? That one's still so new, but you're still writing and planning on it?
Yeah. Actually, this one's going to be different, a little more experimental.
Oh, really?
I guess, yeah, for me, which will be...
I see the drum set in there. Are you still going to do the drums and guitar
I am.
at the same time?
Yeah, and I actually have a show coming up It's actually a concert series, and it's in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and it's called Stacks and Steeples.
Green Bay, when is it?
My show is actually on the 26th of February.
26.
Correct. And
And I'll put the link in there to the description so people can click on it. That'll probably be easier too. And you were saying it's going to be like a super long set, right?
Yeah, they ask all the artists to play this at least an hour and 15 minutes or something long set. So it's probably going to be about an hour and a half long set.
That's cool. So do you plan on doing anything extra long instrumental interludes or something? That's like so much extra time.
It is. It's awesome. Actually fucking, it's so, I'm really, really excited about this because the last show I played at was maybe 4 months ago with Mike Kinsella at the Chicago Athletic Men's Club of Athletes. I don't know. I have no fucking.
But a while ago.
It was a while ago, and it's just this venue that people have been having shows at, and it's actually a hotel, and it's like right off of, I think, Michigan Avenue, and right across from the Bean, and
awesome.
It's like it was a great venue. Sound was incredible, and had fun with Mike, of course, and so it will be the first show I've played since then, and I'm looking forward to this because I get so much extra time that I can actually really
sweet.
Work more on creating something rather than, having to like play a shitload of notes on a guitar for an hour and a half, And
okay, awesome. Well, I'll put that in the description. So if you're listening, click on that and check that out if you are in the Green Bay area. Again, thank you so much. I love your music. I love meeting you. Awesome. We got to go grocery shopping for a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Later.
And later.